Hi friends, welcome back to another matcha video. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite places to get matcha lattes in New York City. This is my personal list, a combination of places that I've been visiting for the past 10 or so years that I used to live in New York, and places that I always go back to whenever I am in town. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are the places that, in my opinion, are worth giving a visit. I'll tell you exactly what I get at each cafe. You'll hear a little bit from the owners, and I'll explain why it made the list for me. I do want to add, I feel like these days there are endless cafes opening up in almost every single city. It's crazy, but as a cafe enthusiast, I love to see it. So with that in mind, like I said, this is absolutely not an exhaustive list, but these are places that I really love and for me are very tried and true. If you haven't already seen it, I have an LA version of this video over up on my channel already, but like I said, there are so many cafes opening constantly, I feel like I can't even keep up, but at the time of filming the video, those were my picks in LA. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk New York cafes. The first cafe I want to talk about is Kettl. Kettl is one of the OGs in tea and matcha, I would say. The founder, Zach, is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to tea and specifically matcha, and I really look up to him. I've learned a lot about matcha myself through Zach.
So we have two cafes here in New York City, and our Brooklyn flagship here in Greenpoint is pretty unique because we focus wholly on Japanese teas, and a good portion of that catalog is matcha. So we here in the shop have over 15 different versions of matcha. We have a mill that we brought from Japan, and we have an assortment of sweets as well that we make with our own teas.
And I really appreciate that he focuses a lot on education and the traditional aspect of tea. And by that I mean you can really feel it in terms of the decor and the way that the matcha is served and prepared. He doesn't really have a lot of fancy drinks on the menu. There are a couple of fun flavored items, but not too many compared to most cafes that you see popping up these days. It's a lot more traditional, and I feel like he can do that because the quality of the tea is truly, truly incredible. It's almost a waste to enjoy them in these fun drinks because you don't really get to taste and enjoy the matcha itself. It's one of the most reliable spots for me personally. I like to just get a straight latte there or a straight matcha Americano because it actually tastes good enough on its own. They also have a couple of different matcha treats you can choose from as well as a soft serve. And if you go to the location in Brooklyn, I highly recommend you can actually do a tea tasting flight, and it's a really beautiful space, and you can also get their help choosing from the vast varieties of matcha that they do offer on their little matcha wall. I really recommend getting the flight of matcha lattes there so you can try more than one matcha. I think that's really rare and not something that I see at too many cafes these days. And everyone there's so knowledgeable. Even though they offer so many types of matcha, every single matcha is truly a great matcha. It just kind of appeals to different palates and taste buds and, let's say, your preference for a specific cultivar of matcha. I also want to note that they are opening a location in LA, which I am so excited about. So this recommendation you can also add on to my last LA video of recommendations, but Kettl is always a go-to in my book. They're just so reliable and so knowledgeable when it comes to tea. And honestly, I feel like Zach is even more Japanese than I am, and he's not even actually Japanese. So it tells you a lot about Kettl, but I love it. The next spot on the list is called PPL, or People. I actually don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a spot that was new to me as of a couple years ago, and I really love it. It is in Brooklyn, so a little further from where I usually am when I am in the city. I highly, highly recommend it though, because it's such a gorgeous jungly space in Brooklyn. It's kind of hidden when you're on the street looking at it. Like, you don't really notice it right away, but once you're inside, it feels really cozy. There are like plants hanging from the ceiling. If you like plants, you will love it. And they make amazing matcha too, of course. Originally, what I loved about them was that they would do this method where they would froth the matcha and whisk it over an ice bath to make sure that it wasn't getting too hot and kind of cool it down a little bit while they were whisking. They no longer do that, but they still prepare a really delicious matcha, and I highly recommend it if you ever find yourself in that area. They also have a couple of fun flavors, though I haven't tried any of those lattes. My personal recommendation would be an almond milk iced matcha latte, plain and simple. I wasn't able to chat with the owner because they're not really fond of social media, but despite that, I feel like it deserves more hype, and I want more people to visit because it is truly done so well. And what's really special about this cafe, and kind of rare if you ask me, is that it's actually owned by a Japanese person, and that's just not really something that you see very often when it comes to cafes for whatever reason, even though matcha is Japanese. So I really like that, and when it's owned by a Japanese person and also really good, I always love to promote it and champion it. So People, PPL, if you know how to pronounce it, let me know. I honestly don't know, but I love it. If you know anything about New York City, I make the trek from the Upper West Side all the way to Williamsburg for a latte there pretty much every time I'm in town, so it's a good latte. Our next spot is also in Brooklyn. It's called Kijitora, and this was also a newer cafe to me. I actually found them on Instagram through a random post, and I saw this delicious looking strawberry matcha latte, so I knew I had to try it. Mind you, it was like 35 degrees the day that I went to go try it, but nonetheless, I was like, I'm gonna have this iced strawberry matcha latte, and it was delicious. I really love that they make it nice and frothy too. Like the strawberry component actually has so much flavor in it, and they do use great matcha. I will say there are 2 locations that you can get the matcha at. I only had the matcha at 1 location, and I feel like they prepared it so well. The other location was a little bit busier, but had more of the food items. So they also have like onigiri and some snacks and things like that. And since my last visit, they actually started using Nekohama matcha, and I really love Nekohama's matcha. It's one of the best in my opinion. So all in all, I think you can't go wrong. Delicious strawberry matcha, which I've found to be less popular in New York than in LA. I kind of feel like almost every single cafe in LA has a strawberry matcha latte, whereas in New York, it's kind of few and far between. So great place to go if you like that combination. Personally, I think strawberry and matcha together is like an elite combination. And of course, if you like onigiri and small Japanese bites, highly recommend. This spot is also Japanese owned, which like I mentioned is quite rare, and the owner is super sweet.
Hi, my name is Aya. I'm owner of Kijitora, Brooklyn. I'm from Japan and I moved here when I was 19. I've been like hustling around and I've been in the coffee industry for about 7 years now. Like I fell in love with coffee, and then I kind of like combination to make a combination about like Japanese taste and then the coffee industry thing, and then here I am.
At the time that I chatted with her, she was actually pregnant, but definitely one to add to your list if you find yourself in Brooklyn. On the topic of fun and creative drinks, my next recommendation is Matchaful. This is, I feel like, a spot that has grown tremendously over the years. I think this year they just opened their Brooklyn location, which is supposed to be, I believe, one of the bigger ones. Haven't visited it yet. And what I really love about Matchaful is that they have such a vast menu of more creative, flavorful drinks.
My name is Hannah, and I'm the founder of Matchaful. We're a destination for matcha lovers. Not only do we have incredible matcha drinks, but we have matcha soft serve, a lot of incredible health-focused matcha treats that taste incredible, that do contain matcha and other functional ingredients.
Not only do they have like flavored matchas, but they also have adaptogenic drinks. So they include ingredients like tokos, maca powder, things like that. And there are some really delicious things on the menu. For example, when I did my pumpkin spice matcha latte last year, I did that with Matchaful, and I just feel like they do flavored drinks really well. They almost have their bar set up kind of like a cocktail bar with all their little ingredients and adaptogens out on the bar, and when you see them whip up a drink, it's just really fun to watch. So I always love going there. They also carry treats from some of my favorite friends who make desserts like 16 mil. They make amazing vegan and gluten-free things that are carried at Matchaful. My personal favorites include the summer special, which was the Oishi strawberry cold foam topped matcha latte. That was truly delicious. And I love Oishi berries. They're some of the most flavorful, vertically grown, indoor grown strawberries. I just can't get enough of them. So that was really a treat. I don't know if it's gonna be on the menu year round though, so by the time you see this, it may not be in the menu anymore. I also really like their Blue Earth matcha latte because it tastes like taro, and I think that's something that I haven't really seen a lot, taro matcha combination. Honestly, one of the best drinks because it kind of tastes like a sweet potato latte, and I love it. It's also beautiful blue and green color when you get it, and they have a soft serve right now too, which is the blue spirulina mixed with matcha soft serve, and that also tastes like taro, a sweet potato. So if you like taro, I think you'll love that. It's definitely a little bit different. I wouldn't say it's the most traditional in terms of the drink itself, obviously, but it's such a fun cafe to visit, and I would definitely say what I like the most about it is that it's very creative. Next up we have Sorate, and Sorate is a newer cafe. I think it had only been open a couple months by the time I had visited. It's owned by a lovely Italian woman named Sylvia who really knows her stuff when it comes to tea. She also works with some Japanese tea masters at the cafe.
My name is Sylvia, and I'm the founder of Sorate, and we try to give an experience of what is a tea house. We try to keep everything traditional, guided by our tea master, Keiko-san. The most popular drink is our matcha latte with soku matcha, which is our superior.
So their preparation is very traditional. The space is gorgeous and has this very Japanese authentic feel to it. I don't know how to describe it. But the best part about going to Sorate is that you can enjoy good matcha, of course, but also you can see it being prepared very traditionally with the whole hot water vessel that they have, the bamboo scoop, everything down to the way it's prepared is so traditional, and I love it. It's kind of an experience and kind of feels like the equivalent of like a Starbucks Reserve, where you get to sort of see how everything is made so you appreciate your drink a little bit more. Obviously, that all being said, the matcha itself is of great quality and I really, really enjoy it. Here, I think you can get either a hot or an iced matcha latte. They also do tea tastings there, which is a really nice experience, but the space is quite small. At Sorate, my recommendation would be to get a straight up matcha latte, unsweetened here. Iced or hot are both delicious, or just get it prepared with water, Americano style because you will really taste the matcha that way. Last but certainly not least is Setsugekka, and this is a really beautiful space. When you enter, the first thing you see is a bunch of different chawan or matcha preparation bowls. And like Sorate, they do a traditional preparation and you can kind of sit at the bar and have your matcha served to you that way. So I really enjoy it for the experience. It feels very authentic to me. I will say the matcha that they're using specifically is not necessarily the best, but I think part of that has to do with the fact that in Japan, the common attitude is that for lattes, you should use a lower quality matcha because they see it as almost a waste of a better tasting matcha. My opinion personally is quite the opposite. If I'm gonna have a latte, I want a matcha that's gonna stand up to that flavor and will actually shine through the milk. So I still use a higher quality matcha in lattes, but most likely that's why they use kind of a lower quality matcha than what you would kind of expect, especially from a Japanese spot. But that being said, I think it's worth the visit, especially if you're into tea and the experience and being served traditionally, kind of like a fun activity to do. And you can of course shop all the different matcha accessories that they sell there. And that about wraps it up for today's video. Those are my favorite matcha latte spots in New York City as of right now. That could obviously change at any time. I just feel like the cafe openings are nonstop. If you have any recommendations or places that you really love, let me know in the comments below. I'll let you know if I've tried it or maybe if it's one that I need to explore next time I'm in the city. I hope you guys find these reviews helpful. I think that sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to try a new matcha spot and kind of be disappointed because not all matcha spots are great or created equal. And this is also one of my most asked questions. So I figured why not make a video and take advantage of the opportunity to highlight some of my favorite businesses that I feel like are doing a really great job with matcha. Also, if you haven't heard the news yet, I have launched my own matcha brand now. You can shop it at frothmatcha.com or follow me on Instagram at froth. I'm so excited to bring you guys this matcha. I'll have a separate video all about that, so I won't bore you with that in this video. But as always, if you have any more questions about matcha, you're new to matcha, or you want to learn how to make it, make sure you download my free matcha guide, which is always linked in the description box below. Follow my account at Matcha Mommy, where I share lots of matcha education and reviews, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye.